Okay guys, before the video starts, one little small quick detail which I just noticed as I was now rendering, or rather cutting or editing the video, is that there are more holiday camos showing. And as you can see, the Object 261 has here quite a special camouflage, something which is like the normal or the usual gray-ish or dark green grayish undertone of the Russian vehicles with the same camouflage the i7 has, just not blue. I personally like the camouflage. That looks for me like a good, or at least good enough camouflage. This one though, on the T54, it looks like I don't really like that. It's meh. But one thing I need to point out is that people are, or one of my guys in the comment section below said that it could be the same thing like in World of Warships, where you have this camouflage for a set amount of battles, and maybe those camouflages give you a set amount of bonuses, like 50% more experience or crew experience and so on. So we will see how this goes. We do not know that is speculation. Anyway, have fun with the video. Hello everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks video. And today we'll have a look at the developer stream Q&A. But first we go into that, I want to present to you the damage model of the ISM, which was today found on Rita status report. And the first thing is, when I see this damage model, is I feel like this.
Holy Jesus! What is that? What the fuck is that?
Yes, when I see this damage model, I get flashbacks from the almighty Chrysler GF. Or Chrysler K, as this tank really looks like it does not pose any frontal weak spot. And I talked in my video about the ISM that I want this tank to have a cupola weak spot. But if we look at this, at this weak spot, I feel like betrayed. It doesn't look like a real weak spot. Let's open it like that. Can you see this? It really looks like it's around color code 180 millimeters thick, which is, in my opinion, not a real weak spot if you think about it. The new French heavy tanks, those have good weak spots. But this tank? No, not at all. And you can also see the lower plate. When this is around 120, 140 millimeters thick, this will be around 150, 160 millimeters thick, being no real weak spot. Oh boy, this will be an interesting ride. Anyway, what we know about the tier 9 and the tier 10 tank, yes, this will be a line from tier 8 to tier 10, is that the tier 10 vehicle will be something like a highly armored rear turreted IS-7 with a 152mm gun. This is so far all we know. But yeah, we will see how this goes. But now, let's move into the developer stream Q&A. And this stream Q&A was answered by Kai Forek and Milos Cherabek. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. If so, yay. If not so, I'm sorry. The first question is, why do you manipulate the RNG and matchmaking of individual players? The closer I was to my third mark, the worse RNG I had. The answer is, we really don't have the ability to secretly manipulate the game mechanics, but tinfoil headers will always be present. So yeah, this is obviously a common misconception. People think that if they do their third mark, the RNG gets worse, but yeah, it's all about perception, and yes, I also fall into that category. I do tend to rage about a specific type of player, to be honest. Yeah, next question. Any new Czechoslovakian tanks? The answer is not now. And the following answer is then maybe a new tier 7 premium tank. And they said we are looking for one, but we didn't decide on anything yet. The Czechoslovakian 3 is the only one without such a tank, and we really want to add one. Fair enough. Next up, are there more plans for tanks with camos like the Defender? And the answer is, the look of the Defender was based on historical findings. Really? A tank with an accordion? Fair enough, I guess. At least the old Mauerbrecher tank VK looked better than it looks now, honestly. And besides, right now, the patch with customization is getting implemented, thus the ball is on the player's side. We also give the ability to disable unhistorical camouflages, but sadly not for the Patriot and Liberté yet. Maybe in the future. If the idea gets treated well by the community, we will probably start fiddling with 3D customization, but that will require even more work. Honestly, I like that statement. I already talked about my hopes and dreams about, yes, 3D customization like chains, like barrels, like track links, and maybe even like foliage. Here they're saying if the feature is received well, we're going to do that. I like that approach. Next up, what will you do with the Type 4 and Type 5 guns? And I honestly like that question because, let's be honest, those HE slinging shots are really annoying. I can't say it else. I dislike playing that tank. We played constantly in Clan Wars because it's simply that good and it's agonizing pain, seriously. It's so not fun to see somebody getting penned by a Type 5 heavy. The answer is, it's hard to do anything. A lot of people say that the recently added weak spots aren't weak. But the statistics say something else. Most people see a problem with those tanks, but the stats say that they are amongst the rarest vehicles used. We think that the types don't break the game, because they are hard to play. When a Type 5 one-shots someone, then everybody yells, OP! But they don't see the earlier misses or low rolls. The same is with the maps. It rocks on Himmelsdorf but sucks on Sand River, etc. But here we have the problem. That's not good game design then, if some tanks are amazing on one side and on the other map simply garbage. That's kind of not well made, and I really want to see those statistics because I don't believe in one single bit. In my tier 10 heavy tank, I cannot penetrate a Type 5 heavy frontally, only if I shoot gold. Sure, if those statistics show that they're shooting gold, then obviously they pen, but otherwise those are not weak spots. 260mm of armor are not weak spots, wargaming, okay? Good. Then, is tank weaknesses removal the new black? Is the question, and the answer is each tank has some, even the types before the nerf. Which is a lie. Side, rear, poor maneuverability and speed. Not all maps allow good gameplay for all tanks. As an example, the new Badger. A very situational tank and very slow. Not really, 30 kilometers is still rather fast for such a highly armored vehicle. The E3 is 24 kilometers fast and has similar armor, except for the lower plate. But oh well. Where are we? A very situational tank and very slow. So the best remedy is not to sit still before it. We know that a lot of tanks weren't implemented properly, like the Chrysler K, which was a failure on our side, but we don't remove weaknesses of tanks, at least not in the perceived way. Okay, fair enough. At least they're admitting that they made a mistake with the Chrysler K. At least they are learning, I guess. Next question is something which I really love to hear. What about all those NG ports which disappeared with HD models? The answer is, if you look at it from a historical perspective, hitting such a place with an HE shell caused a lot of damage. But an AP shell basically behaved as if it had hit any other part of the tank. This statement is kind of awkward because it's missing the question. I want to know if an MG port was less armored, or if hitting an MG port would have had the same impact of hitting, for example, something like a lower plate. And this question or this answer is completely missing the point, because I personally think if we go into tanks.gg and have a look at, yes, the new Mauerbrecher tank, and have a look at the VKP, which is on tier 9, this VKP, and let's now look at the Mauerbrecher. Where is he? There he is. The Mauerbrecher has a MG port weak spot. The new HD VKP does not. I personally understand that it is the same armored, or should be armored as the same as the front plate. But if I hit the MG port like this, it should have been not a 39-degree angle, it should have been a 0-degree angle, because you're hitting it flat on. The Mauerbrecher at least has that weak spot, and well, how it is looking so far, this tank will be most likely be introduced. Maybe as an event like the, what's it called, the Berlin Trio, or maybe something around Christmas. Who knows? But yeah, I do not like this answer, and yeah, get your stuff together. Next up we have, will all tanks be rebalanced too? Like the KT, which is the KT? The King Tiger, I think. T34-2 and T34-2 and the T32. And the answer is definitely. We almost finished rebalancing tier 8 and tier 10 vehicles. And now we know that tier 6 and tier 7s have problems. We can't tell then, but we will look into the topic, although it's a tough nut to crack since lower tiers are similar, sometimes just tin cans with guns. That statement is okay in my opinion. Next up is, why not just increase the HP of lower tiers? At least the battles would be longer and the players would be less frustrated because of getting two-hitted. The answer is, and I personally agree on that statement, interesting approach, but it won't help any of the current problems. Increasing HP would only magnify them. I do like the approach, but more HP, yeah, it's not really a good approach, I would say. Because just HP tanking is not skill. Side scraping and using your tank's advantages to your advantage, that is a skill. Next up, Object 907. The answer is another heavy topic. We don't have enough info about it to change it properly. The tank is played by a very small pool of players, so the statistics are limited. Besides, it's a reward for hard work and skills, so the current owners wouldn't be too pleased with a nerf. But yeah, I have the 907. I have all the tier 10 reward tanks except for the M60, which I'm working on right now. But the 907 is a strong tank. The turret is weak though. The turret roof is immensely weak and it's a huge weak spot, and heat is also quite useful against it, but it is a strong tank and we use it constantly in clan wars, and we are one of the top 10 clans on the EU server when it comes to the campaign. Next up, E50M and Leopard 1? Question mark. And the answer is, the 50M is a good vehicle and was buffed lately. So there's no sense in doing it again. Wait, what? What? I don't think that the E50M's HD model counts as a buff. I even think it made it a little bit weaker, especially on the turret side, but yes, it is a good vehicle, but the DPM is not good. But when did they buff that? Guys, if you know that, let me know in the comment section below, because I can't remember that buff. But otherwise, the Leopard in turn is a very good second and third line sniper. If you get spotted first, then you know it won't go well, but with its stats, we don't see any need for a buff. Well, the problem is the Leopard 1 is not really noob friendly, and tier for tier, the Leopard PTA is just so much better. End of discussion. Next question, why is the Type 64 available in a Tech 3 and Preem store, but the 3057 GF and the Bulldog GF not? The answer is, you answered it all yourself. The Type 46 is a regular premium, and the other two were special occasion tanks. We can't nerf them, and if there's need to nerf a premium tank, we just remove it from sales. Okay, so it looks like no defender, but we come to that later. Question, another RT rebalance, and I personally think this question is justified because stun mechanic is so obnoxious. There's no counterplay to that except every 90 seconds a medkit. I really need crew skills against stun in my opinion. But yeah, RT whiners are less prominent than some time ago. We won't introduce an RT per battle limit because we don't think ARTA is a problem. Well, the problem is, I don't want to sound bitchy or something, but I'm not entirely sure those people or those devs are good players with like 2k plus WN8. When I play artillery and when I have XVM enabled, you know what happens? I am focusing the living shit of every other good player in the enemy team, because this is the only way I see myself being able to carry a game. If you can stun, if you can suppress the best player of the enemy team, chances are that if your team is average and their team is average, that you will win, because you are putting one gun which is really held by a good player out of the game for a long period of time. So yeah, it's still a big problem, especially if you're a good player. Anyway, next up, stand mechanics changes. Not now, and probably not in the future. I don't like this. Question, gold ammo changes? And the answer is many players bemoan it, and we looked into the stats and saw that the difference in successful penetration is actually minimal. Some players want gold ammo only for gold, but that would introduce a pay-to-win aspect. Dude, I played in a time back in the days where gold ammunition was only for gold. I never purchased that because it is expensive. Why should I? But yeah, back in the days, every tank had its weak spots, let's be honest. Honestly, the gold ammunition debate is really hard. I understand that. You can't simply say remove it. It doesn't work anymore. But what would work, for example, is making different types of ammunitions. Like that heat, for example, deals more crew damage, but deals less damage overall as it is only a small jet stream. So yeah, you could actually introduce something like that. But yeah, so the price of gold ammo won't be reduced. And the answer is that wouldn't make a sense. Next up, why were the Foch and Death Star lines changed? The Foch was hard to balance, so we just decided to introduce a new vehicle and gave the players the ability to keep the old one. It had no buffs at all for several years. Every other TD got buffed when they lost their 850 damage gun. The Foch didn't. It got nerfed more. Honestly, the Foch is super situational and sometimes it's fun to play, but most of the time it is expensive and it's simply not good. The same with the Death Star. But yeah, next up, and regarding the Death Star, it stood out like a sore thumb in the line. We want consistency, like for example with the VKP and the mouse transition, which was correct. Well, yes, I like that answer, but let's be honest. The VK10001P and the Mäuschen are really unfair tanks as they have no weak spots which are effectively being penetrated by same tier opponents. But yeah, that's my opinion and we already talked about that before. Why even bother aiming if RNG is present? The answer is, we think that the game wouldn't be fun without RNG. If you aim at someone, there's an 80% chance the shell will hit where you want, and a 20% chance it will go sideways. I call bonkers on that statement. I can't imagine that this is true. It's a Gaussian curve. For the people which do not know what a Gaussian curve is, this is a Gaussian curve. It's a prohibition distribution, and this is how World of Tanks aiming is basically made. If you think about it, this is where you aim. This is roughly half of the circle, and this is the outer ring. The higher chance is to hit where you aim, while there are chances that you hit the outer rim or the circle lines, but it's really slim. This is how RNG or how accuracy works, and this statement is kind of false because definitely not 8% chance that the shell hits where you want. Well, probably where you want, but not where you aim. Let's make it like that. The question is, many games end in a landslide victories and defeats. What about that? We are looking into it. Yes, we confirmed such results increased about 5% since we introduced the new matchmaking changes. Right now, the average match time is around 4 to 5 minutes. We are looking for a way to fix it, and it's not really about the new matchmaking per se, but about a subtype of tanks, and that's why the new matchmaking differentiates them. We'll see how the situation evolves. Okay, this is a kind of awkward answer. The problem is, if you're low tier, there are still 8 vehicles which are higher tier than you, at least by 1 tier. You as a lower tiered opponent have an incredible hard time to carry your game. It used to be something like, sometimes you had 2 tier 10 vehicles and 3 tier 9 vehicles and the rest was tier 8. As a tier 8 vehicles, you had more chances to win a game as you had to fight against less high tiered opponents. Right now, it's super hard. And this 4 to 5 minute game is simply if in a 3-5-7 game, your top tier vehicles are hot garbage and the enemies are good, they simply have a feast. They're going to wreck some serious faces because, let's be honest, a VK10001P, a Defender, a Chrysler KF, Chrysler K GF, even a Liberty or other tier 8 vehicles have such an easy time to pick off tier 6 opponents. And it's not even funny if you think about it. And yes, that's why the new matchmaking is not good. In my opinion, they should introduce that if you are low tier, there should be less top tier vehicles you need to fight against, less higher tiered vehicles. Yes, it would be great for the people which are top tier as they can potentially farm more, but yes, it's simply annoying. And the best example is the new best reapers of the week, where the E50 is wrecking some serious faces because he's top tier. There's no one which is low tiered which can actually do anything against this well played tank. But yeah, next up, what about limited matchmaking vehicles like the Mutant or the KV5 or IS6? The answer is it's a real headache for us now. We know that the 8s are currently in hell and 9s in heaven. We want to adjust the matchmaking so that it looks similar to the 9th and one of the 8s. We don't want to touch limited matchmaking tanks now, but we'll look into it in the next year. Well, still no KV5 buffs. Question: why not just introduce a +-1 matchmaking? And the answer is, a 2-tier spread gives a wider ability to choose players. During one battle you're on top and the other you're on the bottom. We are working on the MM all the time, for example placing tanks in subgroups like autoloaders or super heavies. The issue with this is that more rules are introduced to the matchmaking the harder it gets to gather a lineup. But honestly, the subgroups are great. But, and here comes the big but, putting autoloaders in one group but giving one team a 50B and the other team a 5100, that's not the same. The same with a Batchat and a 1-set and a 39 in the others. That's not the same wargaming. Next up, do you plan to introduce map picking for players? And the answer is absolutely not. You'd only see super heavies on Himmelsdorf and Malinovka would be light tank paradise. This question I love. Leave the 263 alone. Autistic screeching for the win. And I already made a video about this. They left the changes away, and they're saying there were attempts to change it on the super test, which is named just that because it's an early test. Right now, nothing changes. I'm happy about it, but you can think about introducing the Object 268 version 4. I don't have a problem with that. New tier 10s are always fun. Next question, how do you like banned mods cheats? The answer is, we don't like them, seriously. We think next ban waves should target people using those. According to ClanStats, many of the top ones have banned players in them. Coincidence? No. Because of the widespread use of tundra or fallen trees, closing the game for mods won't happen too. The GTA 4 shitstorm being a prime example of what might happen. The modding community is really big, and the modders are often doing good work. Locking them down because of a few bad apples would be bad. That's why we are on the lookout for those. Sooner or later, banned mod users will get tracked by our algorithms and they'll get their well-earned vacation. During the first ban wave, 6 employees were banned. Tough luck. Okay, that's interesting, but honestly, it's amazing how often we are having dubious enemies on our clan wars which are shooting at positions where things broke, like trees or fences. We seriously have concerns, and some people are actually using those, what's it called, those mods which are destroying stuff, which are showing destroyed stuff on your minimap, for example. But I also think there are a lot of great mods, one of which I love is this small information panel, which if you aim at an enemy, it shows you the basic penetration stats, the basic gun damage stats, and the basic view range stats, which is an incredible help because you don't need to memorize anything. Yes, I now know most tanks which view range they have, like the IS-3s have horrible view range around 350 meters, or the T-34 now having around 380, I think. It's things you'll start to learn after a long time, but for lower, like for young players, this mod is actually really helpful. And I don't think that this is a bad mod at all. It's actually a good mod. Next up, so maybe a modless client, and again, the case of GTA 4. People wouldn't accept this, and they are right. Next question, XVM thoughts. The opinions are mixed, excuse me. So it's really hard to do anything. One can compare it to RT. Some think it's cancer, and some just love it. Look, I'm a good player. I have 2,711 WN8 after 35,000 battles. I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst. I'm above the average, by a lot. But sometimes in-game I hate XVM, because about my statement above, artillery is purposely focusing you, and I'm doing the same thing. Sure, if XVM is being put away, you can still get focused by your badges, which you get for getting the object to 60, or those best of the tree, no, what was that? What was March of Nations, or other stuff, like clans. But it wouldn't be as horrible as it is right now. So yeah, I personally think XVM out of game, yes. In game, no. Question, why do AFK players receive XP and silver? And the answer is because it's not always their fault, maybe. If someone is doing it all the time, the algorithms will punish that player. Yeah, but still, I understand that when your internet is going, hey, why it's not your fault for going AFK, but if it happens one time, yes, but then you know, hey, I need to fix my internet. And you don't keep on playing, so yeah. This AFK thing, I don't like the answer. Next up, no low tier modes like e.g. a Grand Battle equivalent. The answer is, we are working on new game modes all the time. The Halloween event was the effort of the top EU and Russian clans meeting in Minsk. We're working on ranked battles. I can tell that there will be nice events during the holidays. Now. Well, the holidays events are soon coming up. In 2 days, I think it's starting. But top EU and Russian clans, I never heard of that meeting. But yeah, the Halloween mode was cool and I liked the approach. And we already got confirmation that wheeled vehicles are coming to the game. They are being developed. And this is because of the 100 years tank mode. So with this mode, which showed multi-turreted vehicles, we might see multi-turret vehicles in the real game. And I'm also thinking that there could be the idea of the mouse being able to use its 7.5 centimeter gun beside its real gun. And for the people which are asking, because it happened to me in one video which said, hey, Raging, what second gun on the mouse? If you go into the 3D model, it's not modeled in a damage model, but in the visual one, this is the gun I'm talking about. It doesn't need to have to do a lot of damage, like just for example 100 damage or so, but it could be used to detrack opponents or do module damage. So you need to rebalance the mouse again, but I would like that idea of being able to use such a gun. It would also be the same for KV4 again. And oh boy, my throat is starting to get a little bit sore of all that jibber jabber. Let's have a look at the KV4. If we go into the visual model, there we go. This gun could be used, for example. But yeah, next up, what we have. You have to be kidding with the bonding common random battles. And the answer is, it's on purpose. The bonds were introduced for those who got good. Okay, I guess. It's minimal, but it's something at least. Question, what about changes to strongholds? And the answer is, I'm not assigned to that, but guys from the department are probably brewing something nice. I hope so. The changes to the strongholds were bad, because now you... Seriously, I used to love play strongholds, tier 6, tier 8s, because, well, yes, you were allowed to stomp puppies, because there was no matchmaker in it, but that was the fun about it. Sometimes you had good opponents, sometimes you had bad opponents, and you could play it all the time. And now it's certain times and matchmaking based, or skill based. Not really that much fun anymore. And the question is, during the Halloween event you use bots. Does this mean PvE is coming? And the answer is, it's a big leap forward, just like the World of Tank console war stories, but introducing it on PC is still wishful thinking. Even though 1 year ago I think there was already a plan of a game mode with PvE, which was waves, like you had to defend waves of tanks, like in this mode. So I would say I'll keep my ears sharp. Next question, why is every patch ridden with bugs? The answer of the chat bug was something we really didn't know about. If the players would notify us, it would be fixed quickly. Excuse me? On the test server we didn't have such problems. But yeah, we tried to fix it with some blue electric tape, but it failed. The chat system is complicated since it's not just something solely in the game plan. Thus fixing a few subsystems was necessary. But come on guys, you fixed it. And now with the new update it immediately broke again. That's kind of meh. Next up, what for OS X? The work on that client is finished, but the Mac player base is too small for them to be a priority. Fair enough. Question number, I don't know, EU 3? Not in the nearest future, since EU 2 and EU 1 are doing fine and can do even more. Yes, I don't think that's a big problem. Next question, this is a lovely one. What's the programming language of World of Tanks? The game is partially C++, the servers use Python, and the UI is ActionScript 3, which is dead by the way, so we really had to scrounge for people to work on it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am learning I'm learning C++ and I had to learn Python, meaning theoretically I could program something like World of Tanks. Practically, I would never do that. But still, it's funny to know that actually World of Tanks is partially based on C++ and I have a small knowledge of C++. That's actually super fun to know. Next question, what about the March of Nations? EU and Russian had the same rewards. NA got a marathon because the situation was reversed last time. Minsk doesn't decide about EU events, but Paris does. Yes, but America also have their tank marathon thingy, where tank rewards, which they can get free tanks all over the place if they're doing well. Next question, Defender? Answer, no changes. Will it be sold? He doesn't know. IS-5 or Chieftain T95. CB tanks won't be sold unless something changes past our usual 3 months windows of information. What about tanks removed from a premium store? They are sold on special occasions, and the Type 95 won't be sold as long as I am responsible for the future of World of Tanks. Oh boy, that is one statement. I guess the people which really want one, I'm sorry, you will only get it if you perform really well, or get it through a Gamescom, or buy it for 2,000 euros on eBay, which is super ridiculous. Like, this tank is not that good. It's seriously not that good. The gun stats are still horrible. Next question, why does Wargaming remove boost? And the answer is quite simple, because there is a mod showing them. It's made it too easy. Yes, but on some certain maps, like Mountain Pass, boosts are crucial to dig out those pesky Polish camps? That's a little bit of an EU pun, where you have Siemka Russian Siemka camp, which is like Siemka is hello in Polish, so yeah. Yes, let's be honest. Mountain Pass is simply absolutely stupid when it comes to not having boost, and it's really annoying to do or do anything against if you can't boost and surprise the enemy. So yeah, I really don't like that statement. Boosts are, in my opinion, not bad for the game. They can be used, but they need to be balanced as well, not just simply be removed. T10 changes. There are a few variants of what we can do, and I am leaving you a link in the description below where I'm talking about the Object 257, a tier 10 tank which will be moved down to tier 9. And let's have a look if they actually did that already. Heavy tanks? No, it's still a tier 10 tank, so it's still in super test status. This tank will be changed and will be put down to tier 9, and it will be the chronological following of IS-3, Object 257, and then IS-7. The T10 will be maybe on a different tree, and I talked about that in my video. Last question. Will the secret stats be available in the hangar, like ground resistance, movement, bloom, and so forth? And the answer is, a typical player would get a headache seeing all of those. Those who want to see them can use external sites, and since they're available, they're not really secret. Good answer, but I still want to know the armor models in the garage, okay? This is something which they should introduce because yes, tanks.gg is a great website and I use it almost in all of my preview videos, to be honest. But still, please bring that into the game as it could help people a lot to improve. Anyway guys, that's it for today's video. It's a huge video, my throat is sore and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked those little puns I put into the video. And yeah, let me know in the comment section below. Leave me a like if you liked it, and as always, thanks for watching.